Welcome to The Explainer. I'm absolutely pumped to have you here today. We are going to trace the literal journey of a single heartbeat. We're talking about following it from its very first electrical spark deep inside the tissue, all the way to how it shows up as those famous waves on a clinical monitor. It's this incredible journey of bioelectricity that happens inside your chest, about 100,000 times a day. And by the end of this explainer, you're going to have a really profound understanding of exactly how the whole shebang works.
So think about this for a second. Did you know a heart can actually keep beating even after all its nerves are cut? No way, right? But it's absolutely true. Unlike your skeletal muscles, which literally need a direct command from your brain to move, the heart possesses this miraculous property called autorhythmicity. Basically, this means the heart has its own built-in independent pacemaker. It self-generates its own rhythmic electrical impulses. So it's not just a pump, it's a completely self-contained electrical engine.
Here is our roadmap for today. 1. The heart's pacemaker. 2. The electrical pathway. 3. How ECGs work. 4. Decoding the waves. And 5. Reading cardiac arrhythmias. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The heart's pacemaker.
Okay, let's dive into this. Our very first stop is understanding exactly where this electrical spark is born. The absolute star of the show here is the sinoatrial node, or, the SA node for short. Think of this as the main electrical breaker for your house. It's this tiny bundle of specialized tissue tucked just inside the wall of the right atrium. Now, while other parts of the heart technically have the ability to generate a spark, the SA node is the boss simply because it's the fastest. It generates impulses at a rate of 70 to 80 times per minute. And it does this using these specialized structures called P cells, which are just constantly and automatically firing off repetitive action potentials. But how exactly does it fire all on its own? Well, it all comes down to a very specific, kind of magic number. -55 to -60 millivolts. That's the resting membrane potential of the SA node. See, most normal muscle cells just sit quietly at around -90 millivolts and wait for a signal. But the SA node, it's uniquely leaky. It has these incredible channels that slowly leak sodium ions right into the cell. This slow leak means the electrical charge is just constantly drifting upward. It creates what we call a pacemaker potential. It's kind of like a bucket with a hole in it, but in reverse. It's slowly filling up with positive charge until it hits a threshold, which inevitably triggers the next glorious heartbeat.
Moving right along to Section 2, the electrical pathway.
Let's see how this builds. Now that we've got our spark, we've got to track how it travels through the heart's internal wiring. First, the spark leaves the SA node and just ripples right across the atria. Those are the top chambers. Then it hits this absolutely crucial junction called the AV node. From there, it travels down a superhighway called the bundle of His, which splits into different branches. And finally, it reaches the Purkinje fibers. That's a superfine network that distributes the spark deep into the heavy muscle of the ventricles, causing them to pump violently.
And this brilliantly illustrates that entire flow. Notice how the wave of depolarization, that red area of electrical activity, starts up top right in the SA node. It sweeps right across those upper chambers, then channels straight down through the center wall or the septum, before wrapping all the way back up around the thick outer walls of the ventricles. It's a perfectly choreographed wave. It ensures the heart squeezes from the bottom up, pushing blood out of the heart effectively.
Now, check out this number, 0.1 seconds, just a tenth of a second. This is the AV nodal delay, and honestly, it is an absolute masterpiece of physiological engineering. When the electrical signal hits the AV node, that checkpoint between the upper and lower chambers, the signal intentionally slows down. Why? Well, because if the whole heart contracted at the exact same time, it would just spasm, right? This vital little 0.1 second pause gives the top chambers, the atria, just enough time to squeeze and totally empty their blood into the bottom chambers before those bottom chambers powerfully contract.
All right, Section 3, how ECGs work.
So we know there's electricity flowing around inside the chest, but how on earth do doctors actually see this invisible internal electricity from the outside? The answer is physics. Specifically, this concept of a dipole. A dipole is basically a two-terminal battery. As that wave of electricity sweeps through the heart muscle, the part of the heart that has already fired becomes negative, while the part still waiting to fire is positive. And because your body fluids are highly conductive, we're essentially just salt water, this moving dipole acts like a battery submerged in a volume conductor. It literally broadcasts its voltage changes all the way out to your skin.
To actually capture that broadcast, we use something called Einthoven's triangle. It's named after Willem Einthoven, who actually won a Nobel Prize for this. By placing electrodes on the right arm, left arm, and left leg, we form an electrical triangle right around the heart. The electrocardiograph machine is just measuring the difference in voltage between these points. You can kind of think of these leads as different camera angles, all watching the exact same electrical wave flow through the heart, just from different perspectives.
Which brings us to section 4, decoding the waves.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how we translate those electrical signals into the famous scribbles you always see on a hospital monitor. Every normal heartbeat produces 3 main waves on an ECG. First up, the P wave. This small bump represents atrial depolarization. That's the spark spreading across the top chambers, telling them to squeeze. Next is the massive QRS complex. This sharp, tall spike is ventricular depolarization. It's huge because the bottom chambers have a massive amount of muscle mass that all fires at once. Finally, the T wave. That's the heart resetting itself, ventricular repolarization. It's the electrical system recharging for the next beat.
Doctors use these waves, particularly that QRS complex, basically like a diagnostic multimeter. The shape and size of that spike tell a vivid story. Like a strangely deep Q wave, that can be the footprint of a past heart attack or myocardial infarction. A super tall R wave might mean ventricular hypertrophy, meaning the heart muscle has grown abnormally thick. Low voltage across the board can point to things like hypothyroidism or fluid around the heart, while a wide, prolonged QRS complex means the wiring is damaged, so it's taking the electricity too long to cross the muscle.
And finally, section 5, reading cardiac arrhythmias.
So, what exactly happens when the heart's beautiful, rhythmic electrical system faces some sort of disruption? Let's start with the simplest ones affecting the SA node's rhythm, tachycardia and bradycardia. Tachycardia is a heart rate over 100 beats per minute. Now, this isn't always bad. It's a totally normal response if you're, say, running on a treadmill or fighting off a fever. Bradycardia, on the other hand, is a slow rate, under 60 beats per minute. While a highly trained athlete might just have a naturally slow resting heart rate, severe bradycardia can actually mean the SA node is failing. That's a condition aptly named sick sinus syndrome.
But sometimes the problem isn't the pacemaker itself. It's the road. We call these heart blocks. They are literal roadblocks in the electrical wiring. You could have an SA nodal block, where the spark gets trapped right where it's born. You could have an AV nodal block, where the signal really struggles to cross the junction down into the lower chambers. Or a bundle branch block, where one side of the lower heart gets the signal late, which causes this uncoordinated, wobbly pump.
So the crucial point is what happens when that road is completely severed. In a complete or third-degree AV block, the atria are firing perfectly, sending their signals, but absolutely nothing makes it past the AV node. In response to this massive crisis, the ventricles realize they are totally on their own, and a backup ectopic pacemaker kicks in at a much slower, desperate rhythm. The top of the heart and the bottom of the heart end up beating completely independently of one another. It's a really severe condition, but it's beautifully, if tragically, captured by the disconnected waves you can see on the ECG.
As we wrap things up today, could the incredible, relentless electrical engine inside your chest spark its next beat without you even thinking about it? Well, the answer, of course, is a resounding yes. From those leaky sodium channels to that absolutely vital tenth of a second delay, your bioelectrical grid is a total marvel of nature. I really hope this explainer has transformed the way you view every single pulse in your body. Thank you so much for learning with me today, and keep exploring.